Hello my friends, and welcome to Woodworking for Miniaturists. My name is David Knight. My goal in this series is to provide the kind of basic woodworking information that I think you will need to do top-notch miniature woodworking. As such, many of my videos are essentially lectures on topics like wood, scales of miniaturization, and specific techniques. The audience I have in mind wants that kind of information. On the other hand, in these early days of developing the channel, I also have the need to get it out there and get it known. And clearly, the kinds of videos that draw people in are the show and tell videos, like number 2 on producing thin stock, and number 4 showing the Victorian store. I just posted video number 13 yesterday. That one was on the refurbishing of an old bandsaw, and number 14 is going to be a continuation of the series on hand tools. But I decided to insert a purely show and tell video to juice things up and draw more people in. So here we go. Today's video will display a miniature that I did a few years ago. This is a travel trailer made from a kit from Greenleaf Dollhouses. I've done a total of 3 Greenleaf kits over the years, a large Victorian house for my daughter when she was small, and another for my granddaughter more recently. Greenleaf kits consist of sheets of 1/4 inch Luan plywood that have been die cut so the individual pieces can be broken out of the larger sheet. This tends to make for rough edges and the use of a lot of filler. The pieces assemble through a system of tabs and slots. This is not what I would call high quality material, but it does provide ready-made parts, so you would not need to do the cutting yourself. And it may be a good starting point for the beginner. On Greenleaf's website I found this travel trailer kit for $29.95, but it was out of stock. I think that it is available through Etsy and some other sources, and during my search I noticed that there are several other travel trailer kits available from other manufacturers. I used this kit as an opportunity to do some kit bashing. This was the term used by the authors and editors of the Scale Cabinet Maker for the process of making changes and improvements in commercially available kits. This is also an example of something I discussed in the episode on scale. I have incorporated a different kind of miniature with the display of this trailer, a die-cast metal model of a 1964.5 Ford Mustang and a plastic model of a 1930s Indian Sport Scout motorcycle, both at 1/12 scale, so they should match the trailer. They are all of a theme, being road vehicles, so they could be put together in a display. The Indian model came already assembled and appears to be a promotional product marketed by the Indian Motorcycle Company. It's made under license from Indian by the New Ray Toy Company. It is labeled as an Indian Sport Scout without any indication of the year. My online search found similar looking bikes from the mid to late 1930s. One of those was on sale for $55,000. The original full-size Scout had a 750cc flathead V-twin engine. It had a hardtail rear end and a Springer front end. Gear change was by a lever on the side of the tank that was known as a suicide shift, because you had to take your hands off the bars to shift gears. I picked up the Mustang in an antique mall. I think I paid $100. It was still in its original package. I'm sure I lost most of its value when I took it out for this photo shoot. It was made by ERTL under license from the Ford Motor Company as part of their American Muscle series. The doors, hood, and trunk all open, the steering wheel works, and there is a lot of detail. The color is a duplicate of the original Rangoon Red. The original car had a 289 cubic inch V8. In my wasted youth, I spent a lot of time riding around in one of these. It was blue and belonged to my cousin Greg. I'm sure he still wishes he had that car. But to get back to the trailer. I constructed this kit for my wife Lou, and she had full control of decisions regarding color, fabrics, and decor. I created several additions to the basic kit, which she approved. This is the closed side of the trailer, and we can see a few of my changes here. That white vent just above and between the two windows is for the vent fan, for the stove that is inside the trailer. I added the light fixture by the door. Not very aerodynamic, it occurs to me now. The original door was just a flat slab. I have replaced that with my own paneled door with a pair of windows. The LP gas tank was not part of the original. The base and top guard are made of card. The rounded top and bottom are two halves of a ping-pong ball, and the center cylindrical part is another strip of card. The parts were glued together and filler was applied and sanded smooth. The hose is a strand of insulated wire. I added the round part of the hitch as well. On the back of the trailer, I added two red taillights. These have bulbs in them and they work. They are made of 2 cylinders of card and a piece of clear red plastic. The trailer does not open and close. One side and the top are permanently open. This is the right rear corner of the interior with the central dinette removed. At the very back is the bed with a pair of drawers underneath. Along the right side wall is the kitchen with a stove and oven, a vent hood, a sink, a refrigerator, and cupboards above and below. The cabinetry is based on kitchen cabinets from Julie Warren's books. There are a few odds and ends in them, dishes, boxes, and cans of food, but we did not load them full like they probably would be in real life. Also note the suspended light over the sink. Having built an RV out of an old school bus, I now realize that swinging light would not last long on the road. Here's a closer look at the bed. I made the mattress, the sheets, the quilt, and the pillows. This kind of manufacture is not hard to learn, and we will do an episode on it. We can see in this picture one of the problems with fabric scale. The sheets here are made of a material that is thinner than real sheets, but not thin or flexible enough. It sticks out straight rather than draping down the side of the bed. One way to remedy this is to glue fabric into the shape it would take if it was thin enough to drape well. Here we have the right front corner of the interior, where we get a better view of the fridge, the couch along the front, the entry door, and the door to the small bathroom. We also see the owner and her pit bull. A little story about that. My wife got on the internet and sourced that doll. She doesn't recall from where. The doll is well made, realistic looking with bendable limbs. that don't have obvious joints. But it was delivered without clothes and turned out to be anatomically correct. Now I'm wondering exactly what kind of business we patronized. When we had some friends over and showed them our progress on this project, it was agreed all around that clothes were needed. The dress she is wearing is made of wrapping paper and Scotch tape. The beach sign, the dog, and the bowl of fruit were purchased from miniatures.com or some similar provider. The large picture books and the coat rack were made from kits. I made the upholstery and throw pillows, and I made an improved version of the bathroom door. Here we see that a couple of Amazon packages have arrived. I made the paper towel rack from a copper wire and a bit of wood. The paper towels themselves are made from a single ply of toilet paper. On the counter are a couple of pieces of mail that I made. These are plain paper, cut, folded, and lightly glued. There are a few lines scribbled where you would see an address, and there are small colored squares for stamps. Those were done with a marker. A peek inside the bathroom. Just a toilet and a roll of toilet paper. On the opposite wall inside the bathroom is a framed photo of a pink Cadillac, probably a more suitable tow vehicle for this rig. Here is the central dinette. It's not glued down to the floor, so it can be removed. In a real RV, these are made to form another bed. The table lowers to the level of the benches, and the back cushions become part of the bed. I did the upholstery here. The laptop, the glass of wine, and the paint palette are all purchased. There is also a pencil on the table. I made that from a toothpick. Here is a view of the stove. The burners are made of coiled copper wire. The knobs are small metal beads held in place by small brads. The oven handle is a strip of thin metal cut and bent to shape. Inside is an oven rack made of toothpicks, glued together and painted silver, and the oven door opens on a cloth hinge. The cabinets have pin hinges. Notice the basket on the counter. We'll get a closer look at that soon. Here's a view of the quilt, printed with sheep and low hillocks. I used tiny stitches around each of the design elements, like a real quilt. Here's that basket again. This is one of the smaller and simpler of the baskets I've made. I start with card that is the color of the slats of a basket. I cut it into narrow strips, and from those weave the basket. This one would just fit on the tip of my little finger. The trailer is wired for electricity and has 6 working lights, including the tail lights and the outdoor light by the door. That is a small number of lights for a dollhouse, and the system takes a relatively small capacity transformer. So that's the trailer project. It was fun, and it was done in a reasonable amount of time, and it wasn't that expensive. If you would like to do something like this and you can't find this particular model, it looks like there are several other travel trailer kits out there. I hope you enjoyed this. Send me your questions. Like me and subscribe. Let me know if you liked this short show and tell episode. And come on back next time and learn how to do all of this yourself. Believe me, it is very satisfying.